So before we get into the match itself, I want to speak more loosely about Liverpool and where we're at and what have you, because obviously massive news, seismic news came out on Friday, which is giving everything that little bit more importance, that little bit extra incentive, I think it's fair to say. All of the noises that come out of the camp have been business as usual. If anything, Virgil van Dijk has been stressing the fact that it does mean a little bit more now to the players, and we want to send Jurgen Klopp on his way on a high and send him out in style. And Klopp himself was at pains to stress that, listen, the football's what matters, and that was obviously the case today. Yeah. Businessman-like from the Reds, job done. But when you look at the situation more generally, like, how are you feeling about it? It was important anyway, of course it was. Listen, Liverpool winning trophies is essentially the be-all and end-all. The moments along the way, they're wonderful, but trophies are what matters, they're what count. That's what people speak about for years and years to come. But how do you feel about it now? Is it more important than ever now?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt, mate. Because for me, if you know, I take it back, and I jokingly said it at the start of the season, like, knowing this Liverpool side, knowing what we've done, knowing what we're capable of, we will go on, and I coined it the shit quad. This will be the most epic quad in the most epic set of circumstances if we was to do the unthinkable. Yeah. And right now, you can't even call it deluded for thinking and speaking it out loud. I feel like we're at a point where we've got to start speaking this shit into existence. Liverpool are on the cusp of the Carabao Cup final. That's there.
Yeah.
We're going down to Wembley, so train tickets, coach tickets booked, hotels booked. You've got the 5th round of the FA Cup. We've dispatched a Norwich side there that a bit plucky. They seem to be up for it, but they weren't there to be a giant killer today. Yeah, absolutely. We've progressed into the European competition that we're in. We're in the Europa League this year, but we're strong favourites for that competition. There are still some other good sides in there that will have their say in how that goes, but ultimately Liverpool can focus and now start to plan and map their way and navigate the way through that competition and try and get to Dublin. Again, train tickets, ferries, everything booked. So there's a lot of expectation. But then of course with the league position that we find ourselves in, and I think I said that a number of times this season that I felt that for this Klopp's team it might be a season too soon, but ultimately this is the hottest the iron's going to be while Klopp is now the manager for the next 5 months. And if that's the case, even if we feel the players are a little bit too soon, if we think this squad is a young squad, even if we feel that we could need the 6 really to be the final piece of the jigsaw for what we want, it is now or never really for what this team can go on to achieve. And I think that is now made it even more pivotal for us to really put that impetus and that focus on sending him out on a high, because he's given us everything and more than what we could have asked for. When he walked through the doors, I think everyone was gassed. We knew the calibre of manager we got. We believed in time he would go on to do some amazing things. We didn't know the level of the story that was going to unfold and how it was going to unfold in the way that it has. And it's been a bit of a fairy tale, if I'm being honest, for a lot of Liverpool fans, and the stories, the relationship, the comparisons with previous managers of old. All of that now has culminated into this moment that we find ourselves in, and we've got to cherish every last game, every last minute on the pitch, as fans, as the players will do, no doubt. And I think it really does just now show he's given everything. There's not been a day where you think, oh, he's off it today. He's not up for it. There's not been a day since he's been here. And the players that are still here appreciate that in him. And I think they feel there's only so much that they can do. But if there's ever a reason to dig deep and go to that well, you always say you're playing for the badge. Now you're playing for the badge and the man. Yeah. And that to me really kind of signifies it.
Yeah, and how often have we said players will run through brick walls for Jurgen Klopp, and that remains true. And also you've now got, again, that extra little bit of reasoning as why to do so, because you're not going to have to do it for very long, because he's not going to be around for much longer, you know what I mean? Which is a painful thing to say, but it's also the reality of the situation. But to sort of spin it onto today as well, because you look at today, 5-2, the scoreline flattered might be a little bit strong, but I think it was more comfortable from that Liverpool perspective, albeit a 3-goal cushion in the end. I think we were pretty dominant from sort of word go to the end, really. But when you look at the team that we had at our disposal, some of the young lads, I thought Bradley was outstanding, I thought James McConnell likewise, Joel Quanta's in there too, but the subs, and it's the subs that we bring on, that fill me with the most confidence and the hope and a little bit of disbelief as to why Liverpool can do something very, very special, because Trent Alexander-Arnold, Dominic Szoboszlai, Louis Diaz, Virgil van Dijk
and
Andy Robertson come on to that game. And we haven't got Alexis McAllister, who's apparently being rested for today. Wataru Endo still to come back into the situation. Mohamed Salah, people may have heard of him, I'm not quite sure. He's still to come back in. Yeah. That's frightening, mate.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it just goes to show at the minute the whole squad is pairing, and we've sat there in seasons gone by and understandably felt a little bit, maybe hard done to might be a bit strong, but we've been unlucky in injuries to certain players. And you just mentioned 5 really key players to any spine of the team. You build a team around a lot of those individuals, but we've lost 5, 6, 7s really senior players in the past, and you've had to spend time without them, and it's impacted your season negatively to the point where you're not really going to be able to go for titles. You're not going to be able to push for European.
You have to prioritise things in the past, haven't we? Yeah, you're right. Whereas now, as I mentioned, with this squad depth, and I didn't even mention Thiago and Stefan Bajcetic because who knows? But let's just say they do become available. That depth is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and now I feel like maybe we're getting that luck owed back to us in kind a little bit, and better late than never. But if it's going to show up, it's showing up at the right time. And I think it's about, like, it feels, but you know what, I'm Scouse, we are hippies like that sometimes. The stars are aligning, like it genuinely feels like there is a bit of football gods and an alignment going on. I don't know if Mercury's in retrograde or what, but something.
I didn't even know what that meant, so I'll leave you to it, 'cause I have no idea.
I'm telling you, man, the cosmic Scousers, that's
okay, that. Right, yeah. Listen, I'm fully aware of them. I know a lot of them, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm quite. There's a level, and then they go, and you just went way beyond.
Yeah, fair play.
Wasn't there with you then, like. But no, listen. Ultimately, it's ridiculous the depth that we have, and you're right. At the time when we missed key players for key games, and it might have derailed our campaign at the time, you're cursing it. You're just fuming with it. But if it all meant that we would culminate for Jurgen Klopp in the manner with which we will, I would take that. If you'd have told me at the time, I know this is a bit shit, but just wait until Klopp's going to, and then this is going to happen, I'd be like, okay, go on.
If we were writing a book, like it's a blockbuster. Like, it genuinely is, because you've had some highs early doors in that book as well, and you thought, wow, how do you top that? And then the lows, considering where we was, felt like real hammer blows to us. But then to say, but again, it's all right, maybe you might not even get this one. Maybe I know Pajak could get this one, and Paul, but like it's the Thanos, it's the Thanos snap thing, man. Like, the snap had to happen in order for this shit to happen as well. And I feel like the COVID snap happened, and now we are now in the Doctor Strange timeline where all those things are going to combine together for the ultimate parade come the end of the season. It is going to be. I'm just gassed thinking about it. But I know that there's still a lot of hard work to be done. And again, I think then draws back to the professionalism of these football players. I know we can sit here, we can be a bit jovial, have a bit of a laugh with it. But I think they will look at themselves today. They will look at the performance and think, we say it all with certain individuals every now and again. I think when Endo's played a standout game, or Curtis Jones at points on Harvey Elliott, and you think, that's your bar now. You can't perform underneath that bar. That's the bar. He says if you perform above it, happy days. But I think this is now a bit of a reset button to be like, that was the standard. That to me was a 90-minute performance. All right, yeah, there were some moments where we let the other team in and we stood off them a little bit. They get a goal from a corner, but you strip that back. And Liverpool this season have been a very good team in the second half. I think that's where a lot of our goals have come for us. We've come back at times in the second half, but I also think we've played in moments for large parts of the season where we've had a 20-30 minute spell where we've looked electric. That to me today was a 90-minute performance from minute 1 to the 93rd minute. Obviously, when Gravenberch pops up and he scores, everything in between, it was dominance. There was the intensity, there was fluid football, there was the flair. The players' personalities were coming out on the pitch. You could see it all, and that was a complete performance for me. All right, yeah. Albeit we do concede, and you've got to caveat that. You've also got to give Norwich credit for being plucky in that respect, but that now is the standard. 90-minute performances. I don't want Klopp to feel as if he needs to go in a half time and have to rollick these lads to be like, come on boys, like you know what's on the line type of situation. And I'm not saying he might have felt that way, but there have been games where we've gone in, how haven't we scored, or we've let them into the game, or whatever it might be, and Klopp's worked his magic at half time. Then he's used the subs, going back to that squad depth that you've mentioned, and it's worked in our favour. We've got the result. We keep going on, and we've only been beaten once this season, so it's worked more than it hasn't. But from now, this point forward, I feel as though those 90-minute performances, let's keep them in isolation. Just 90 minutes at 90 minutes at 90 minutes, and just see how many we can rack up. Because the way I'm seeing it now is everybody's good to get it. Everybody, you're on notice. Steve said it before off air. Everybody's on notice from here on out, because that is the mentality we need. We need to be ruthless. Can you imagine Salah sat away? All right, he might have came home by the point in time when he's got the news, but away from the camp, away from the squad, getting a call to be like, he's leaving. Like, what that would do to a player. Forget what it does to the fans, what that does to a player. You've now got to think, whatever you thought to him, whatever little fallout you've had, you've got to think, he's made me.
Absolutely, yeah, for Salah especially.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, this man has made me. How do I cement him in the history books for all of time? Something's brewing, baby. Something's brewing.
And when you've got people as good as Mohamed Salah thinking like that, and likewise Virgil van Dijk as well, then you're onto something, aren't you? Absolutely. Yeah, but you're absolutely spot on with the old adage, game by game. That's kind of got to be the way we go back to it now. But it just so happens to be on all four fronts, because that quad is absolutely on shit otherwise.